Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Inhumans, the mini-series that was cancelled after one season because it's not good. Now, last thing that we looked at in the MCU was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, and it showed us what can be done when you handle the Inhumans with care, and this is the exact opposite. What if the showrunner just could not care? And I will shout out the showrunner because of how bad this is. Scott Buck is the showrunner of Inhumans, and also, just so you know, he's the same showrunner as the other perfect show in the MCU, best season that we have, Iron Fist Season 1. Yes, that same guy came back to ruin another eye superhero property, which I actually find funny because it's the only two eyes, if I remember correctly, in the MCU up to this point. And well, they both had the same showrunner and were both not really all that good. And this one is about the royal family. When people were thinking Inhumans, this is probably what they had in mind, to have this be a focal point. And to be honest, I would have loved to see the royal family be introduced in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, maybe as like a thing, maybe for like a season. But yeah, no, we got this instead. And also, this was originally supposed to be a movie to end the Infinity Saga back in 2019. But that did not happen, and for obvious reasons, because we got this show. So this show is basically about the fact that the royal family and a lot of Inhumans are living on the moon. That's how they've stayed away from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that stuff. And there's a problem that happens, and they basically have to save themselves and all of the city of Adelan. And that's basically all I can say without spoilers, because yeah, I don't really want to spoil things. I have that in my spoiler talk, and don't worry about it. I'm not gonna let this series get away with its stupid things in the spoiler talk. I heavily talk about it. But this show is not really all that good, so let's get into the cast, shall we? Because they are the good parts of this thing. Starting off, we have Anson Mount as Black Bolt, the Silent King of Adelan. And his power is basically, if he speaks, there's a sonic blast that emits from his mouth. So basically, he could kill you with a whisper from his mouth. Simple as that. That's the best description that I have ever heard for Black Bolt. But it's the stupidest line in any movie ever. But he is the king, and he has to be silent at all times. And I think Anson really does a good job portraying him. Like, I really liked Black Bolt in this show. I mean, if he was written better, you know. But like, his portrayal, I liked. The actor, I thought he did a fantastic job. Next up, we have Serinda Swan as Medusa, the queen. And her powers are basically her hair, and what they do to her in episode 1 is absolutely despicable, and I hate it to the core of my being. I still think that Swan did a really good job as Medusa in this show. When she needs to put out that emotion, she really puts out that emotion. She really cares about the product, even if the product doesn't care about her, because, you know, what she says, it might not be the smartest things, it might be dumb things, you know, but at least the actress does do her best with it. Then next up, we have Ken Leung, I guess. I don't know how you pronounce the last name. But he portrays Karnak, and his ability is basically to see the fault in all things. Basically, he finds all the errors in any attack or anything like that, and he can fix it himself. He basically sees how things are gonna go, and he sees where the mistakes are gonna be made, and then he adjusts based on the mistakes that were made. He's like, alright, let's try that again. And like I said about the rest of them, he also does a good job in the role. It's just, once again, the team behind it didn't care. So yeah, but he does a really good job. However, they also make a decision with him, and I don't like it either. It's these are the two characters that get disrespected the most out of anyone, and I hate it with everything that I am. Then next up, we have M. Iquakor as Gorgon, and his power is basically he has hooves for feet, and he can do that God of War stomp thing, basically creating a shockwave, which is actually pretty cool, and I like the actor in the role, and that's really about all I can say. Then after that, we have Isabel Cornish as Crystal, and I will say this, while sometimes her acting felt a little bit weak, it's still better than the writing. I cannot help it to just harp on the writing of the show, but it's just, there's so much gold here that is just being tarnished. They do a bunch of good stuff with the ideas, and then the writing is just awful. And it's like, okay, yeah, cool. And then next up, we have our main bad guy. I will say that right now, because everybody should know that by now. Iwan Rayon as Maximus, the brother of our king. And sadly enough, the one who has no inhuman powers at all. And wow, he actually does put in a performance. Every moment, every emotion, he is putting his everything behind it. I will say this, I think he was the best actor on this show. 100%. The way that he puts passion behind everything. He really just wanted to be king. That is all. But as the show go on, you learn his true motivation, and it's like, oh, okay. And basically, the best comparison that I can make with this is to Loki, which is funny because at the end of the show they do the whole thing with like you know, in Thor Ragnarok, when it was like, oh, Asgard is the people, not the place. They do something like that in this as well, which I guess was a popular thing to do in Marvel. But I like the actor who portrayed Maximus a lot, even though yeah. Let's move on to the next one, where we have Ellen Woglom. What's that for kind of a last name? All right, anyway, as Louise. And she is a human from Earth who works at NASA, basically, and has a passion for space and wants to go to the moon and all that stuff. And I also liked her in the role that she provides. I liked her. I thought she had some fun banter with Medusa, especially. I liked that a lot. And then finally, for the last one, also, they did do a CGI dog, a giant dog. And I don't think actually that was that looked all that bad. I'm actually impressed with the way that looked. Is that where the budget went and we couldn't find good writers and showrunners to the dog? Okay. But anyway, I don't think he looked all that bad, considering TV budget and everything. I think it looked pretty good. But finally, we have an actress who I initially wasn't gonna talk about, but I actually really liked her in the role. We have Sonia Balmors as Aran, an inhuman with the ability of healing, who is the head of the royal guard under Maximus. And yeah, like I said, I like the actress a lot in this role as well, and that's why I had to mention her. And that's it. That's basically the casting. But like I said, there are some good ideas in here. It talks about a lot of good stuff. This show is extremely racist, though. Like, it is so racist, but that's the point of the show. It's supposed to be that way. But my goodness, the hatred that these Inhumans have for humanity, just because of a few, it's like, wow, that's the biggest racism I've ever seen. But overall, I thought the show wasn't that good. It's simple as that. So I will just go into final verdicts right now, because I will talk more about the show in the spoiler talk. So my final verdict for Inhumans is going to be a generous 4 out of 10. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. I don't think it was all that bad. I think actually towards the end, it kind of goes up a bit, but it never really reaches any highs. And after this, the show was canceled as well. I don't even know why, because it didn't really get that bad of views, but I guess it was just way too expensive to make, especially because apparently for the first 2 episodes, they used IMAX cameras to film this thing. But I guess they wanted to have even more viewers in total. But you're not gonna get that because the show just wasn't good. If you had competent people behind it, maybe you could have done it. But like I said, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. So let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below about Inhumans. Obviously spoiler free. You can do spoiler talks in the next video that comes out soon enough anyway. And yeah, with that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new, if you don't already, turn on notifications, and don't forget to check out the Let's Play channel, link in the description and at the end of the video. Currently I'm doing Mario Kart World over on that channel, and I had a lot of fun, so maybe you should check that out. You know, maybe you can have some fun too. Maybe it can entertain you. But next week, don't worry about it, we're gonna be going back to the good stuff, because we are gonna go back to my boy, because it's time for Spider-Man's Homecoming. Bye!